Long years ago, we made a tryst with destiny, and now the time comes when we shall redeem our pledge.
It was the dawn of independence. The ideals of Mahatma Gandhi had helped India gain her freedom from an exploitative monarchy.
Vaishnava jan to tenere kahiye je, peeda parayi jaane re.
Gandhi did this through the principles of nonviolence and grassroots mobilization. He believed in the colossal strength of a united working class against the tyranny of a ruling class that did not care about them. True to his promise, he helped India gain Swaraj, the right to govern oneself for the betterment of country and its people. At that time, a shy young girl from a well-to-do Gujarati family had been deeply influenced by the teachings of Gandhiji and the proof of their effectiveness. Born in 1933, she had witnessed the last and most intense phase of India's struggle for independence. This period left an indelible mark on her young and impressionable mind. It was the beginning of a phase of social consciousness which was later to transform into a movement towards social justice and the empowerment of the underprivileged. This strong-willed lady is none other than Mrs. Ela Bhatt. During those days, Ela was enraptured with the tales of the freedom movement. Her entire family, including her grandparents and uncles, were imprisoned by the British for their participation in the struggle. Ela used to wonder at the innate strength of her aunts and the other womenfolk who took charge in the men's absence without complaint. Ela was impressed by her family's dedication to her country. As a child, she would read books on Indian heroes and dream about fighting for her country's freedom.
Ela wanted to follow her father's footsteps and study law in order to help the poor fight their legal battles. But her father was not too keen on her continuing her education.
I don't think my father had very big plans for my education, but my mother was stronger and then she insisted. But then later I joined law.
Right from her college days, Ela was interested in nation-building activities. Should India focus on building factories, or should the focus be on the rural poor and developing their skills? Gandhi believed the heart of India was in its rural areas. This inspired Ela to learn more about the Indian villages. While in college, Ela became involved in the first general census of independent India. She was exposed to the hardships of the people and was determined to do something for them.
Gandhi had shown the way, and that is what we had learned, during our school and college years. And then fortunately my husband also along with that. So he gave me more intellectual input, books to read, etc. also, and we discussed along with his friends. So I think central was Gandhi and freedom for the country.
Once Ela graduated from law school, she found that it was illegal for her to practice law in her father's jurisdiction, where he was the district and the sessions judge of Ahmedabad. Hence, she decided to join the TLA, Textile Labor Association, the oldest labor union in India. She knew it was one way of helping the poor. Soon she was going to court and taking up textile labor cases. This opened her eyes to the fact that there were people involved in other economic activities which were not being covered by any protective legislation.
When I joined in '54, So at that time I immediately joined the legal department, but then I was also asked to look to the women's wing. At the time of Gandhiji, and then even later at the time of the freedom movement, almost 50% of the audience is women. Many were in winding and some were in weaving, but then slowly, because of the modernization of the textile mills and new machines came in, the training of the new machines went to men, and the women were left out.
When Ela visited Israel for a 3-month conference, the idea of forming an organized union to help these women crystallized.
I think that is where I learnt the joint action of union and cooperative, and particularly with reference to those who are self-employed. And when I talked about organizing, or rather unionizing women in the informal sector, whom I prefer to call self-employed, our leaders also being Gandhians, so they were very happy. I don't think they really understood what it meant, and then what will be the implications later, but they agreed, and that is how in 72 I was able to unionize women in the self-employed sector, called SEWA, SEWA, as a trade union.
Ela started the Self-Employed Workers Association in 1972 with the unique concept of unionizing the unorganized labor women. Much to her surprise, the women were ready for the idea of their own union.
So they said, what does it mean to be a union? I said that we come together, and it also means your commitment. And they said, how? So I said, by paying a membership fee every regularly, every year, every month. So they said, how much? So just I said, 3 rupees per year. And they just started taking out 3 rupees from the blouse, and then they started giving 3 rupees each. I was so impressed by their freedom to use their money. We went to register it as a union. The registrar of trade union said that how can you have a union when there is no employer-employee relationship? Against whom are you going to agitate? For what purpose? And then we said, yes, it is difficult to pinpoint one employer, but there is series of or rather a set of exploiters against whom we have to fight for our rights. And also the purpose of a union is not just only to fight, but also to build up the solidarity amongst the workers.
SEWA's goal is full employment and self-reliance for women to achieve total empowerment.
SEWA has an integrated approach towards the development of society. They undertake training programs in health and child care, cleanliness, hygiene, etc. The aim is to integrate those women, and indirectly their families, into the mainstream and acknowledge their role in society. 2/3 of SEWA membership is in the rural areas. SEWA activities are distributed in 11 districts of Gujarat, but because SEWA's aim is not only economic growth, they study the problems of each area and then find solutions first before encouraging the women into economic activity. In certain districts which have no potable water, women spend a better part of the day in fetching water from miles away. This leaves them with no time for other tasks. Typically, SEWA first tries to address the water problem by building check dams or tanks, and then urges these women to work for economic benefits. Activities like nursery raising, embroidery, dairy, water conservation, etc. in the rural sector have been started by SEWA. SEWA also provides its members with the necessary raw materials and helps to translate contemporary designs to the artisans. They then also help them to market their products nationally and internationally.
When these women started coming in and talking about their problems and issues, Out of those problems, there were two basic financial problems which they were discussing and talking about was lack of capital and lack of assets. For example, a vegetable vendor would borrow rupees 100 in the morning and would repay 110 in the evening, and a ready-made garment maker would not have her own sewing machine. So in fact what was happening was that as it is their income being very low, a very big portion of that income was going either towards interest or towards loans.
As Sewa's activities expanded, they needed to link these women with the public sector banks for their savings and credit facilities. But though these women were economically independent, they were illiterate and not accustomed to banking procedures. Sometimes they would get confused about the bank names and go to the other bank. They also felt they were not being treated on par with the other customers and were insulted by the authorities. These women then discussed their problems and decided to start their own bank where they could be treated with respect and their issues really understood. So within a period of 6 months, they collected a share capital of 100,000 rupees and approached the authorities for registration. But this was not easy.
Of course, we had lots of problems in getting bankers registered, because the first question which was asked to us was that a woman who does not know how to sign her name, how would she be able to operate her account? And our argument was that though these women do not know how to sign their names, they are economically very active and they do need banking services. We thought that the basic reason why we need, or why a bank needs signature, is for recognizing a person. So you can always recognize a person by using some other method, like taking a thumb impression on a photograph. So we are still called a thumb impression wala bank. One another financial service, one facility which we are offering is insurance. It's an integrated insurance scheme which covers sickness, so mediclaim, plus death, natural death, widowhood, and loss of assets and maternity.
Ela realized the importance of this kind of insurance when in 1973 she witnessed a gruesome accident involving Kanku Rana, a handcart puller. Ela fought a protracted legal battle for 9 years to get Kanku Rana compensation under the Workers' Compensation Act. Inspired by Ela's work, Michelle Walsh, a U.S. investment broker, started Women's World Banking to help women around the world get loans. In 1977, Ela was awarded the prestigious Raymond Magsaysay Award for her promotion of self-help among the depressed workforce. She donated the award money of $20,000 towards setting up a Mahila Sewa Trust Fund, which would extend help to women who, due to various reasons, were unable to work for a short period of time. In 1981, Ela's relations with the TLA ran into rough weather. Things got heated up due to disagreement over some sensitive issues, and Ela was forced to move out, along with her Sewa. This was the first time she really understood the fear of the underprivileged.
I spoke very, very rather vehemently and very boldly and clearly, not being so diplomatic. So it all came out, and suddenly in the working class I became a hero. And then in the middle class, I became an object of hatred, so much so that my house was being stoned. But that was the price I was ready to pay.
We were really in a critical situation, the first thing which we were told was that you leave this premises. And now if we don't have a premises, if we don't have a building, how would we run a bank? So at that time, the support which we got from our employees or our organizers was that, don't worry, we will run our bank under the tree.
Now that Sewa was no longer under the umbrella of the TLA, Ela realized that being a union was not enough. The need of the hour was cooperatives that would give workers the power to negotiate. This was the start of a 70-strong cooperative movement involving various areas of work like dairies, nurseries, garment stitching, handicraft, incense manufacturing, beady rolling, and so on. What is unique about Ela's approach is that she studies the total lifestyle of the working women to understand their problems and works out solutions based on their own suggestions. Sewa's method of tackling grassroots issues has yielded results. Today, Sewa's membership stands at more than 300,000 women.
हमारे छोकरा માટે સ્કોલરશિપના પૈસા મળ્યા ખંડગીમાં માર કપાય છે અને બચત બેંક ખોલી છે મારી માટે એમાં અમે લોન અમને સહાય મળે છે
बीमा कार्ड बनाया हमारे लिए हाँ बीडी का कामदार में अपने को दवा मिलता है
सेवा ने लोन भी हमारे कोई शादी संबंध हो तो लोन भी देती है अब तक भी चालू ही है सेवा का तरफ से
Sewa's central belief is that every human being has potential and ability which only needs guidance and training for them to expand their vision. This belief led to the formation of Sewa Academy. Realizing the importance of video and learning, Ela invited New York-based filmmaker Martha Stewart to train Sewa women in basic videography for communication.
The thing which I like the most about Ela Bhatt is her vision. She thinks 20 years ahead. The quality which she has is that on one hand she is thinking about at macro level, but when we have a smallest problem, we can rely on her and we can go to her and she would listen to us and give us advice, or at least she will guide us in that matter.
Sewa at the moment is the largest primary labor union in the country, men, women both, having more than 320,000 members. At grassroots, it is spread in Gujarat in 9 districts. It is spread in 5 or 6 states in the country. It's also there is Sewa. It is called Sewu in South Africa. There is Sewa in Istanbul, and also in making in Zimbabwe. There is one in Yemen. So the spread in fact is not so much membership as such, I would say. Of course there are members, but it is a concept that those who are women who are self-employed, casual labor, in the informal sector, unorganized, unprotected, they all can come together and form their organizations, any kind, whichever suits that country or that place. For Sewa, work, employment is the core of all our activities. What bothers me the most is the poverty. And howsoever we try, our country tries to progress, but poverty, situation of poverty will always keep that progress back. So poverty has to be removed. And I don't think that in a country like ours, where people, all people, particularly rural, common people, they may be illiterate, it doesn't matter, but they have tremendous resource, and that is why they are surviving. So that needs to be recognized and then put them together and uplifted and link them with modern technology, modern markets, modern tools, modern knowledge. They have a lot to contribute to the body of knowledge. So that has to be, nourished and developed and then made it into a big asset. Then, nobody can buy us.
After leading the Seva mass movement for 25 years, Ela stepped down from the mantle of General Secretary of Seva, although she continues to serve the movement till today.
वैष्णवजन तो तेने रे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णवजन तो तेने रे कहिए जे पीड़ पराई